What are the 25 things I've learned in 2025? Well, you're going to hear about that on this episode. But I'm not just doing this one solo. I have phoned in a very good friend, Dr Amantha Imber, founder at Inventium, and she's going to join us for this podcast, and we're going to share our 25 learnings from this year. Well, we split it in half, 12.5 each. We're going to get into what are the big learnings we've had from the highs and the lows that have been 2025. So it's going to be real, it's going to be honest, it's going to be raw. Buckle up. Some of these learnings will be stuff that you have probably found too. If you don't know Dr Amantha Imber, you need to. She's been on this pod quite a few times, and she has her own podcast, How I Work, which is absolutely amazing. She's the founder of Inventium, behavioural change consultancy, and they work with organisations all over Australia to help improve performance, outcomes, culture, and make humans happier at work. So let's go. This is a podcast about making work work. You'll learn about leadership, career growth, and how to navigate those weird work challenges. I run a HR consulting business called Boldside, where I help leaders build epic team cultures. If you lead a team or run a business and you think I can help, let's connect on LinkedIn. My name is Shelley Johnson, and this is Work. All right, so 25 things I learned in 2025. We're going to move fast. The first one I had was bring your own CEO energy. And sometimes, Amantha, I don't know if this has happened to you, but lately I've been in meetings where I think I have watered down sometimes how I've shown up, or I've found like myself withholding or like being really like apologetic or maybe going into people-pleasing mode. And sometimes I'm like, no, you know what? I just need to bring my own CEO energy, even if I don't have that as a title. And I don't know if you've had that, but that's been one of my learnings this year, to like channel a bit of the type of confidence I would expect of a CEO.
Oh, it's funny. I have not thought about that at all. That is not a learning for me. And it's funny, since I stepped back into the CEO role, I actually really resist. I never refer to myself as CEO. I'm like, oh, I'm a founder, or I run Inventium or whatever. That's so funny. I feel like I'll be able to relate to a lot of yours, but I can't relate to that. I'd like to think I just kind of just naturally just show up and people can take it or leave it, however I come. But maybe last year I would have given a different answer. I do love that though.
Go, what's yours?
Tip number 2, and my number 1 is, and I've spent the year 2025 researching energy for a book that's coming out in 2026, The Energy Game. And I reckon energy is the new KPI. Any manager, leader that comes to me saying, we need high performance, we need a high performing team, and they're looking for like leadership strategies, I always ask them, what is the energy of your team and your leaders like? Because if you have no energy, like any number of leadership tips are just not going to scratch the surface when you're not showing up with a clear brain and, you know, just great energy. So that's a big one for me.
I have so many follow-up questions. I know we're on a time crunch. Can I just ask you, because this links to my number 3 point, what does energy look like?
Yeah. So energy for me, it looks like physical, emotional, and cognitive energy. Most people lump it in one and they go, oh, I'm feeling really exhausted. But when they think about it, when they actually analyze what's going on and have that framework in mind, they can identify that, no, my physical energy is okay. My cognitive energy is okay. I'm not having brain fog, but my emotional energy is shot. Like, you know, I'm crying at the drop of a hat. I feel like my resilience is next to nothing. And sometimes it's a different kind of energy. It might be cognitive, but emotionally they're fine. So I think it's really useful to break it down into 3 energy buckets or accounts, if you like.
And then if I'm thinking about those accounts, I might, the withdrawals are happening, but sometimes we're not aware those withdrawals are happening. And then also I'm like, oh my gosh, but how do we top them up?
Yes. And I might even touch on that in some of my tips.
Other points? Okay, well, do you know what? That rolls straight into my number 3, because this is what I wrote, Amantha, and I've got my little paper, you can hear. I've got typed out little list.
I got mine too.
Oh, good. Look at us go. We're so analog with our printed out things. Time management is a fallacy. Energy management is way better.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh my God. I write about that in the book. Yeah, it's like no amount of good time management will fix your energy.
I need to get this book. When is this book launch?
July 2026.
That is so far away. I don't have the energy to wait for that. I need it now. I'm like, I need it now. We're recording. This is the end of the year, and my energy, I will say, is pretty shot. So, like, I can't wait for this book. This book, oh my gosh, we're going to do a big launch on this pod. This is work. We're going to. I cannot wait. Okay, what is your number 4?
Number 4 is setting boundaries is an energy intervention. And I don't think most people think about boundaries this way. Like, boundaries is, I guess a very in vogue thing to talk about, and the importance of saying no. But I would love it if people start thinking about boundaries as a way to actually manage their energy. Because if you don't set good boundaries, if you're not saying no enough, if you're not delegating enough, it's like you're trying to fill your energy bucket, but it's just got leaks in it. And so, boundaries, super important. I feel like I learned that the hard way in 2024, where I had very limited boundaries, and 2025 I have had really firm boundaries, and I feel like I'm one of the only people that I know, and I feel so smug saying this, that I'm not limping to the end of the finish line. I'm like boundless energy right now, and we're right at the end of November.
I'm really jealous.
Oh my God, I'm so smug. I hate myself. Anyway, whatever.
I love it. Okay. Here's one. It's kind of linked, but one practice I've been trying to do, particularly thinking about your language of cognitive energy, has been double down, deprioritize, delete. And so continually going back to my work, because I am the type of person that I often think more is better, and I've learned that more is not better. Actually, less is heaps better. As the saying goes, less is more. Mm-hmm. So double down, deprioritize, delete, just having a rhythm to come back to that model, and then looking at my work and going, okay, why am I finding it so hard to delete anything? Like, because that's where I feel like I'm struggling to think of what to delete. I can deprioritize stuff, but I'm still in my mind like, I'm going to hold that in my mind for a period of time, and I will come back to it. I'm like, no, I just need to be able to move stuff to that delete category.
Yes. Yeah. It's so hard to let go of things, isn't it? I feel like a strategy that works for me is having a to-don't list, and at the end of every month, just going, what are the things that really sucked my energy, and then forming a rule around them. Like, I don't do meetings before 11 a.m. Or I don't see this particular friend or this acquaintance, because whenever I see them, they just drain my energy. So I think it's really good to like do a bit of a reset at the start of every month. Okay, this is my.
I would love to. I feel like seeing that list though would be so funny. But to be like, if there's a name on there, you're like, I do see you. I just see you at 4 p.m. That's my time for you.
Exactly. Okay, this is my last energy one. And then I've tried to theme my tips. I think we're up to tip number 6. I'm on the even numbers. You're on the odd numbers. So, okay, rest is a skill, not the absence of work. And I think this is a big mistake that people make, where they go, well, I'm not working, I'm slumped on the couch watching Netflix, and so therefore I am resting right now. But that is what I call fake rest. Because it's not rejuvenating, it's not recharging, it's simply the absence of work. And so the more people can engage in genuinely restful and restorative activities, the more recharged they're going to feel the next day. And that's certainly been true for me.
Okay, we need to do another pod on rest as a skill, like just in of it itself, because I think people are really not good at that. Yeah. I'm just like thinking I'm really not good at that. Number 7. Oh, this was such a big learning for me this year. Embarrassment is good for your ego.
Oh, tell me about that. Was there an experience you had?
There was an experience. So Amantha, I was speaking at this event, big event. I was like the keynote, got up. I thought I did really well. I was like, I killed it. I crushed it. Like, I absolutely did my best work. I hopped down, and at the end of the night, there was like the photo wall, the media wall, and they were like getting photos, and a guy comes up to me and he's like, oh, hey, we're just here. We would love to get a photo. And I was like, yeah, sure, like, sweet. So I walk over. There's 12 of them, like a big group. I stand in this group, and they're like, oh, no, sorry, like, we just wanted you to take the photo. And I was like, I'm going to die now. Like, I'm actually going to sink into the floor. But it was so funny because I often think your best work, like some of your worst work can come after your best work and vice versa. Some of your best work can come after your worst work. And I kind of think about the connection. I'm like, you know what? Embarrassment is actually good. If you actually step into it, I think anytime you're doing something challenging, you're going to be embarrassed, but just embrace it. I'm like, and so then I ended up laughing about it so quickly, and I wrote about it in Sydney Morning Herald, because I'm like, actually, embarrassment's fine as long as you can laugh at yourself and go, hey, this is good for my ego. So that was one of my big learnings this year.
Oh my gosh. That reminds me of a time, this is many years ago, I was doing a keynote at this really big breakfast event for one of the banks and their customers, about like 500 people in a ballroom style breakfast event. And I start to walk on stage. And so I think I was wearing Birkenstocks or some random footwear, and I tripped up on stage, like as I'm walking up the stairs to do my keynote. I trip, one of my shoes comes off. I'm like, oh, fuck, where's the shoe gone? Anyway, I was so mortified. I think I tried to make a joke. I can't remember if people laughed, but then I just got on with it. And whenever I'm walking on stage for a keynote now and there's stairs to go up, I always think of that memory, and I walk really carefully.
And it will haunt you until your final days. You will just...
Oh my God.
The Birks, like, it's a bit of a Cinderella moment. I like just, the Birks come off and you're like, here I am. I'm just going to be barefoot now. I'm just going to ground myself on stage.
Exactly. But the thing is, only one shoe came off, and I'm like, oh God, what do I do? What do I do?
What do you
could have taken them both off. Anyway, okay, number 8. Number 8, I think we're up to. Okay, so so look, a lot of this year for me has been in the world of Gen AI. It's been a huge focus. I think that one of the fundamental things that I think about is that Gen AI is now your coworker. It's not a tool, and for me, like, it's a coworker that's always sitting next to me. Something I've heard with a lot of guests that I've had on How I Work, where we talk about AI, is that they will, let's just say, I think a lot of people now have a 2-monitor setup. I feel like that became a thing during COVID. One of their monitors will be dedicated to AI. I've heard this from a few people. One was a futurist, Bob Johansson, and I kind of like that, because for those that are not in the habit of using AI very frequently to either improve productivity or augment your thinking, I think they're sort of, the two biggest ways we can use AI. It just kind of acts as a visual reminder to go, hey, I've got this coworker sitting next to me at all times. I don't have to worry about interrupting them. They're never in a meeting. They're always available for me. And for me, like, it's just become such an important part of my team.
The other thing I love that Inventium does so well in the way that you train people in Gen AI is, I've heard you talk about it as you are now a manager of AI.
100%. Yes, we are all managers, regardless of what your title is, and you are managing AI, like, in the same way. And this is one of the things that that really bugs me. And I mean, just the amount of AI slop or work slop or whatever we want to call it that is out there. I mean, we were having a whinge about LinkedIn before we started recording, and I mean, God, it's all over that. But even just like in emails that we're getting from clients or coworkers or whoever, and reports that we're getting, I mean, it really bugs me because it's such a big time waster. If you are delegating to AI and not treating it like a direct report, where you would delegate something to a direct report, but you would check over it, particularly, if they've never done this task before. But a lot of people are not checking over the work that AI does, and they're not prompting it to be more succinct, because AI is not necessarily doing that. They're using sort of flowery language and way too many adjectives, and I just find that so disrespectful when we're delegating to AI, but we're not actually checking its work, just like we would if we were managing them.
Yeah, I love also, you're just so easy to spot. It just, as soon as I see it, actually lowers your credibility so much, I think. Okay, my next one, number 9. Oh, where am I going to go with this? Okay, this one. Connection is better than charisma. We did this big pod earlier in the year around like this whole thing out there on Insta and on socials pushing, become more charismatic, become more charismatic. I'm just like, no, just become better at connecting with people. Like, I just find the charisma stuff, charisma is all about me and connection is about you. So if I want to be more influential or charismatic, pursuing charisma in and of itself is actually, I think, the wrong way to go about it. It's like, actually just get better at reading the room, at connecting genuinely with people. And that to me, it bothers me, Amantha, when people are like banging on about becoming more charismatic. And I'm like, I just think if you're outer directed and outer focused, you will naturally be that as an outcome. But don't pursue that as an outcome in and of itself.
It's funny when I hear the word charisma, my mind goes in two ways. I think, oh, well, that's something that you're born with and you can't control. And so that's really frustrating. If you feel like you're not a naturally charismatic person, then that feels like really annoying advice. But then if you go, okay, well, how do I learn charisma? To me, when I think of learning to be more charismatic, I feel like, oh, but am I still going to be myself? It feels a little bit inauthentic. I mean, I hate the word authenticity, but it feels a bit inauthentic to try to be charismatic. So I think I have a natural repulsion from that word. So I like that idea of prioritizing connection because we can all get better at how we connect with people. Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Are we up to tip number 10?
10.
Okay, amazing.
10.
Okay. So this has really changed the way that I work when I'm at my computer. And this lesson is that speaking is faster than typing. Now, this is not earth-shattering because I think we all know that intuitively, but the software that's available now means that instead of typing things and taking more time, we can be far more efficient if we speak it out. And so the software that has now become very much a daily, if not hourly habit, I mean, I would use this software every hour, I think, at least a few times, is Whisper Flow. So we'll put a link to that in the show notes. It's spelled WISPR and then flow. And how it works is that you install the software, you set up a shortcut. So for me, when I press the function key on my keyboard, my computer automatically listens to my voice and then transcribes what I'm saying. And what's really cool about Whisper Flow, which is in contrast to other software out there, is that it automatically fixes up any errors. Like if I say, hey, Shelley, it's great to chat. It was great to see you today. It will just write, hey, Shelley, it was great to see you today. And also it adds in punctuation as well. My only complaint is that sometimes it Americanizes words. So you still have to proofread the whole thing, but I much prefer it. And particularly in the age of AI slop, where a lot of emails that we're now receiving are clearly just written by AI without a human really involved much at all. I like it because I generally don't use AI to write emails unless it's something that requires quite a bit of structuring and architecting. I will generally speak out my emails. They feel and sound more human, and it's also super quick for me to talk it out. So it's just a game changer. And the other thing about the software is it works across whatever software you're in. So if I'm in Outlook, or if I'm, in a browser in Chrome or Brave, or, want to type a comment to a LinkedIn post, it follows me wherever I am. I just had to hit the function key.
I have written that down, Whisper Flow, and I'm like, immediately after this, I'll be like, I've downloaded it. I'm ready to go. Amazing. Okay, number 11. This is a big one for me this year. Psychological safety is not the same as psychological comfort. And people are weaponizing psychological safety at work, and they're saying as soon as a conversation gets tough, this isn't psychologically safe. We've got to move past that. And I think Amy Edmondson's work in psychological safety was this idea that the most psychologically safe teams have the most honest or real tough conversations, but they do it in a way that's infused with health and kindness and care. They're not brutal. But I think where we've gone, we've almost overplayed psychological safety at times, where we're starting to say, well, as soon as something becomes difficult, it's not safe. And I think I liken it to being on a plane. I can be uncomfortable on a plane and still be safe. And if you're on Jetstar and someone reclines their chair, you are uncomfortable immediately. I'm just uncomfortable, but I'm still safe. Plane travel is the safest form of travel. Just because I'm uncomfortable doesn't mean I'm unsafe. And I think we really need to start to shift some of the narrative around psychological safety. And yes, organisations have to do a heap of work to make sure that there's trust. And I'm not devaluing that. That's absolutely crucial. But let's also be conscious that discomfort doesn't equal a lack of safety.
Yeah. I like that a lot. And I reckon a lot of teams and a lot of leaders confuse that. Has that been your experience?
Oh, I definitely seen it thrown around a lot where like people just tap out of a meeting like emotionally and cognitively. They'll still be there, but they're like not safe. And it's like, no, lean into that process. Like, yes, we need to get great at having tough conversations, but we also need to be okay with discomfort. It's how we grow. So that's been a big ranty thing that I've talked about a lot this year and enjoyed talking about.
You know what? I might add in there. So let's go number 12. This wasn't one that I'd prepared, but I also don't know if I prepared the right number. I'm like, I think I might be one or two short. So let's go with this. So on the topic of psych safety, I think that something like when I think about the Inventium team, and 2024 was not a great year for psych safety being high across the board. It was high for some people, but not others. 2025 completely changed. And I think one process that we have found really helpful as a team is trying to, where possible, have a postmortem for projects or processes that actually felt quite difficult and where at least some of us feel like we could have done it better. So we had one process that we were like we tried to innovate it, like an internal process, and we really didn't nail it, and most of us were involved in this particular process. And so we spent a good couple of hours together. We did this face-to-face, just kind of working through. And the main person who was experiencing the process brought a lot of their learnings, and we all listened. And it was also quite useful. We had an AI transcription on as well, just so we don't have to take copious notes and stuff during the conversation, and we can all be present. And then also use that AI transcript to help generate a summary, just generate some objective action points that we might have missed. And I think kind of knowing that we'd booked that in the diary helped us all go, okay, well, instead of getting blamey, let's just get really reflective and let's just lock in what are a few lessons that we can take from this and do it better the next time we have to run this process. So big fan of postmortems. I know that they're not new or groundbreaking, but I think when it comes to psych safety, it can really help a lot.
And then I might go in then to flow on from that to number 13 and I think it really relates to exactly what you've just said. Whenever there's any tension or conflict on a team, or you could even call it disagreement, make it about the problem, not the person. And I think, like, how do we make any form of conflict or problems, any form of conflict, tension, disagreement about the problem, not the person? Because I think, as you say, when we get into the blame tends to be about we're externalizing that problem to someone else. Whereas if we look at it and we go, you know what, let's just make it about this problem. It's like that Liz and Molly cartoon. It's really beautiful that says, instead of you versus me, it's you and me versus the problem.
Oh, I love that.
And they hold hands. So holding hands is probably discouraged if you're in a work context, but, whatever you want to do.
I love that. That's so cool.
Do you want to grow in your career? Are you after a fresh start or some inspiration? Or perhaps you're in a career crisis? The book Sort Your Career Out and Make More Money by Shelley Johnson and Glenn James is such a great resource at any stage in your career. It will give you practical strategies for things like getting a promotion, making more money, moving into a leadership role, taking career risks, or if it's time to quit your job, and so much more. You can find Sort Your Career Out and Make More Money wherever good books are sold or via the link in the podcast show notes. It's also available as an audiobook.
Okay, let me follow with one other thing. And I think this is, it's kind of relates to psych safety, but also innovation. And I heard this recently with a guest I had on How I Work called Elan Lee, and he's the co-creator of Exploding Kittens. And Shell, do you know Exploding Kittens, the game?
No.
Oh man,
No.
you're missing out, and your kids are missing out as well.
Okay.
So it was created. So Elan created it with oh my god, I'm forgetting his name, Matt. Oh god, I can't remember his surname. Who created the Oatmeal cartoon, which a lot of people are familiar with that. And so they got together. They created this card game called Exploding Kittens. They put it up on Kickstarter. I think it was the most successful Kickstarter campaign ever. This is 10 years ago. Raised $9 million in 30 days, 220,000 backers. And it's turned into like a massive global game company. So they've now got over 50 games. They're so good. We're such fans in my family. And I was asking Elan about how do they come up with ideas for new games? I mean, the this is just like a creativity factory, I feel like. And one of Elan's thoughts is that the idea of yes and, which is a very common advice when people are talking about brainstorming. Like when someone says an idea, go, yes, and we could also do this, and just build on ideas no matter how shit they are, because that's what we should do. And it comes from improv and it's great in an improv setting. But why he hates it for brainstorming is that it means that if you're getting together, they have quarterly design retreats where they'll spend a day or two just thinking of ideas for new games. He said, if we do yes and, it means that we only get to explore a handful of ideas because we're diving really deep. But he said where the great quality and where the great ideas come from is when you can have a large amount of quantity, like when we can get through thousands of different ideas. And so instead of yes and, they're actually really quick to kill ideas. And Elan, as a leader, role models this. So when they get new people in on the team, he's really quick to show he just has no ego. If one of his ideas is killed, he's like, great, let's move on to the next one. And I think that requires a large amount of psych safety, but Elan really lives this by just not having emotional attachment to any idea. And, sure, people can fight to go, hey, let's not kill it yet. But the default is to kill unless everyone, feels like there's a spark there.
I'm just processing that around quantity, because we hear so much about quality, and I'm just thinking about that going and the link between creativity and I kind of think about it makes me think about divergent thinking, design thinking processes of getting more and more ideas on the table in the early stages. So thank you for sharing that. That's really super helpful. And I've also written down Exploding Kittens for the kids. It kind of then signaled on for number 15 of one of mine, which I'd love to hear your thoughts on, because this has just been a vibe and you've been doing so much research in this space. So I'd love to know. But one of mine was, margin is the precursor to creativity. How do you have margin in your schedule and when you're so busy in the weeds? And for both of us, as people who are pretty creative, I love having the space for creativity, but I'm like, if I have no margin, I'm just tapped out. I can't have those beautiful moments of ideas. And I actually have missed that this year. I feel like I haven't had it. And it's been a thing where I look at 2026 and I'm like, I need margin. I need margin, because that's the thing that helps me with the creativity, and that's the thing that actually gives me the most energy in my work. But tell me if I'm way off there, because it's more been a vibe than anything research-based.
Oh, gosh, no. There's so much research around that. And I also hear it just firsthand. Again, I think about stories that I've heard on How I Work. I think about a couple of people, Darren Murph, who he used to be at GitLab, and he really sort of led their charge into being a remote first company, and how they organized around that. And also Nikki Sparshot as well, I think, shared this with me. She used to be CEO of Unilever in Australia and New Zealand. And they talk about this idea of don't be booked at 100%. And I like that because it's really visual. If you look at your diary, and I'm kind of glancing to the side looking at my diary, and I know that it's not going to be a great week for creativity if I am 100% booked. And also it allows for no serendipity. It also means if shit hits the fan, or if a crisis happens, your day is shot, and probably anyone else that was tightly packed into your schedule, they're going to be affected as well. So I always try to make sure that I've got quite a bit of white space in my diary for just things to pop up that I'm like, I've really got the energy to, work on copy for this particular piece, for example, or to just go for a walk and ponder this new product that I've been noodling over. So I think it's so important. And, busyness and being 100% booked, like that is not a good thing.
I also visualize you, Amantha, on your walks being like, I've got this idea, and you're talking your little heart out to ChatGPT voice mode.
Like all the time. And interestingly, Elan Lee, who I mentioned before, he told me about a ritual that he has with AI where every morning he goes for a walk and he's got a particular prompt that he puts in that basically prompts the AI to just ask him questions but give him no input, because he wants all the input to be from him, but he wants the AI to draw it out of him. And so he'll go for a walk and he'll have a chat with AI every morning. I had a similar ritual when I was in, because I think that I spent 7 months of this year working on the manuscript for the Energy Game. And there were particular months in that process where it involves a lot of creative thinking, a lot of problem solving, and almost every day during that period of time, I would go for a walk and I would have a chat to whichever AI tool I was using at the time, and I would just chat and I would problem solve and I would get its view on things. I would prompt it to be different personas of people that I really respected in, like fields of game design or organizational psychology or other fields that were relevant. And it was so powerful. And then I would have that whole transcript of the conversation with me when I got back to my computer, and then I could then ask questions of it, get a summary. And I just think my thinking was so much richer and so more drawn out in a really good way because of that workflow.
I've gotten so much from the work you've done around how I can use AI day to day. I seriously, I went on a walk this morning and just did my little voice mode, and I walked and I got so much clarity, and I'm like, that's thanks to the work that you have been doing in Inventium that's really practically helped me in my just day-to-day life, which does give me margin, right, to think.
It does. It's so funny. This morning I drove to the gym. It was pretty early, and like when you're lying in bed and you just kind of like, you're thinking of things, you're like, oh, I need to do that. And then I've got ideas for that. And then I don't know if this is because I'm a writer or maybe everyone does it, but I often find myself when I've got a writing task to do, like whether it's for a newsletter or, a section in the book or something like that, I will often write in my head. I'll spend quite a lot of time in bed just writing in my head. And it's a bit annoying because then I'll forget things. But this morning on the way to the gym, I just put on ChatGPT on voice mode, and I basically just talked out all the ideas that I could remember because, it was like 15 minutes prior that I was lying in bed thinking of this. And I haven't done that too often, but I'm like, that feels like a good workflow just to capture those early morning thoughts when you don't have pen and paper.
Also, I've been saying, do not interrupt me until I finish, and I say stop.
Yes. Oh, you got to say that. Yeah.
Okay, so I think we're up to your number
16. 16. Okay. So I think that, and oh my God, I just had this memory where this is back in, I think, 2018, and there were a couple of years in my life where I got to go to like the main TED in Vancouver, and one of the people I met was one of the co-writers of I think it was Avenue Q. It was that, or like I'm pretty sure it was that, and it's one of my favorite musicals. And I asked this guy, like, what's your number one tip for creative thinking? I said, and he said a deadline. Nothing beats creativity and actual output than a deadline. And I feel like this year, And I think whenever I'm on a book deadline, because I kind of look back and I'm like, how did I do that? I was running a business. I, was doing a podcast, and I was also writing, it bloated out to about an 80,000 word manuscript, but then edited back down to a 65,000 word manuscript, and all the research, so much research was involved. And I'm like, how did I actually get that done? But I got it done, and it's a deadline. It's a deadline, and I'm hyper conscientious. That is a personality trait I was born with, and I never want to let down my publishers. Like, that is just the most motivating thing for me. And I think even with smaller projects, I just think nothing beats productivity more than a deadline.
I have written that down. That I need to hear that today. I also want to understand, just out of my own curiosity, what was the timeline for the book? Was it?
Yeah, it was originally, I think, 6 months or 5.5 months by the time the contract was signed. But then I pushed back and I said, no, I need a bit more time. And I think they thought I could do that because The Health Habit, I did it in 5 months, which was really, really tight. But they wanted to get it out for a January release because of, New Year, New You kind of theme. But with this one, I thought, I'm going to need more time. Like, I've just got so much that I need to research for this book. And so, 7 months was what it was.
Whoa, that's hectic.
It's hectic,
that is full on. Sorry, that was just my own. I was like, and tell me that deadline. Okay, number 17. Where am I going to take this one? I think, this is something from our conversation way back. I can't remember when we did this, but big learning, and it's been going on for a while, but is vulnerability isn't the same as oversharing. And so working out, and we had that really good conversation that was pretty vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think we dug into, okay, well, what is the difference between vulnerability and oversharing? And the line between those two things can be very blurred. And so working that out and going, vulnerability isn't emotional hijacking, whereas oversharing can be emotionally hijacking to people. So I think, and also oversharing can lower trust. So that's been something I've been processing a lot this year. So that would be my number 17.
Ooh, I like that. I thought about that a lot too since that conversation, which was, I want to say 6 months ago or something like that. I don't know. Where's the year gone?
Can't remember. It was a blur.
And so I thought about that when I actually had one of my teammates, Ali Solly, on the podcast to unpack the year of 2024, which was just like an objectively shit year for Inventium. And she and I were talking about how I had built trust with her because we hadn't had a lot to do with each other until, I wasn't even like her manager until November, December last year, so a year ago. And what she did and this was in August 2024, she's accredited in this particular wellbeing survey, and it was something that we were thinking about bringing on to Inventium and, maybe like licensing it or something like that. And so I wanted to try it. I wanted to be a guinea pig. I did it. It goes into quite personal information in terms of it's work wellbeing, but it's personal wellbeing. And Ali then did the debrief with me. And I remember at the time going, how much is appropriate for me to share? Because, it was 8 months into just a year of burnout and, a lot of challenges. And I remember at the time I just thought, well, the debrief isn't going to be helpful if I'm not honest. And I don't think I overshared, but I do think, that sometimes can be a fine line. And she spoke about that moment as the first stepping stone where she really felt trust with me because I chose to share things that were quite personal. And I thought of that conversation that you and I had, and I think it's kind of, it's easy to say, but I also think, how do you know when you've gone into oversharing versus just being vulnerable?
Yeah. How do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know?
What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I think usually when it's oversharing, I think there's a couple of things at play. Number one, sometimes I think it involves something more than just you. So if you're oversharing and you're actually in some capacity either undermining trust of someone else, so you're sharing something that's not actually with it, like you're undermining confidence or confidentiality of someone else. So I think there's an element of that. The other thing is when you're processing something in a way that I think is, a psychologist told me this actually, I've got it from him, but he used the term emotional hijacking. And that helped me when he's like, oversharing has an element of it can be emotionally hijacking. So I don't think vulnerability ever feels like that. Vulnerability feels like, oh, I understand you better. That's the gift of vulnerability. It's like, oh, I understand that about you. And I love, like, I know how Brene Brown defines vulnerability as emotional exposure. So it's usually about you, whereas I think oversharing tends to have elements of you wanting something from someone. There's maybe sometimes other objectives. You may be bringing in other people's personal stuff into the mix, and that's where that emotional hijacking comes in, because the person on the receiving end of that is like, what do I do with this? There's a level of overwhelm. So I think there's I mean, and I guess it goes to what you said, it's hard to know the difference. I think sometimes we learn by error. We go, oh, afterwards we feel like, after you've overshared, you can feel like, oh shit, I don't know if I should have said that. But after you've been vulnerable, you're like, I feel relief and I feel connection. Very different feelings after the fact. So I think that almost becomes a data point in and of itself, that I take that away and I'm like, okay, I know I probably stepped over the line there, versus this other time I felt like there was this genuine connection and trust, as you say, because of that.
I like that it's about how you walk away feeling that can be a good indication of whether you got it right. I like that.
Whether you cross the line or not. What number are we up to?
Are we up
18?
to 18? Is that right?
I think we're 18. Okay, so it's me.
Ooh, no. I'm the even numbers.
I'm the odd number. Here I'm like, it's my turn again. I've got more to say. I'd like to overshare now.
Yeah, that's right. I'd like to be even and odd numbers. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So 18. Gosh, I'm just trying to think what the bigger learning is. When I was writing down learning, is just having a bit of a brain dump with myself. I wrote this because it's an important lesson for me, but I'm just trying to think what's the bigger learning, but we can try to unpack that. So a little while ago, I was a finalist in these awards for AI Consultant of the Year. And it was really competitive. There were 10 finalists. Neo and I flew up to Sydney for the awards night. I just had no chance of winning, but we thought, oh look, let's go and we'll get some good photos for the socials and you know we'll do some meetings and stuff while we're up there. And I remember in the morning I thought, like on the plane, I'm like, should I prepare a speech? And then I thought, no, that feels so arrogant, Amantha. Like, how dare you even entertain the thought that you could win this award? Like you're not worthy. And so I remember I had like a quick 5-minute conversation with ChatGPT and just tried to work on something. But of course I didn't memorize anything because I just sort of put it out of my head. I almost did it tokenistically just to go, oh, well, at least you've done like a little bit of prep. But I hadn't, because nothing actually sunk into my brain. And then on the night, I ended up winning, which was like just the most massive shock. It was, it genuinely was. And I don't say that to be modest. I really thought I had no chance, because I am someone that comes to things prepared. I'm very diligent, as I mentioned, very conscientious, and it's unlike me to not be prepared. But I didn't. And so I think for me, the lesson that I took from that is write a fucking speech, Amantha, because I got up there and I thanked some people, but then, I didn't say things that I would have wanted to say, in front of a room of like 400 people. And I kind of, the moment was great, but I also really regretted the fact that I didn't just go, well, just write it, and, yeah, I don't know what the bigger learning is there, but it was a lesson for me.
What I'm curious, like, around that for you, if it was when you're thinking about, there's just no way we could win. What that signals for you. Like what, like as you're thinking that, is it? Yeah, I'm interested. When you think about that question, there's just no way we can win, or there's no way so I'm not even entertaining that. Is that limiting belief? Is that like, what is that for you? Or is it just more like humility? Is it like, I don't know, like what do you think?
I think I think I genuinely didn't deserve it. Like I looked at the other finalists. I'm like, you guys know so much more than me. It was generally men, you guys. I think there were a couple of other women. And I thought like, yeah, sure. Like I think I can recognize that I'm a really good advocate for making AI accessible through the different platforms that I have. And I think just through the way my brain works, I'm good at making, I think, complex things practical. That's like a bit of a superpower. But I don't like, I look at the work that Neo, that heads up our AI programs at Inventium, does, and he lives and breathes AI every single day. I just go, he would have been so much more worthy than me. And yeah, so I think I didn't feel worthy of it. And therefore I thought, well, this feels really self-indulgent to actually prepare and write a speech.
Oh, that's like, I mean, that I didn't feel worthy of it, I reckon there's something in that.
There's a therapy session in that?
Yeah, a bit. But like, it's because it's actually like made me remember one of the pods that I felt, and if I tack on to the back of this, so you're number 18 to number 19, which kind of links in, the podcast I probably found most like hard hitting for me this year that we did was with Don Price, our mutual friend. And he said to me, Shell, it was I nearly cried on the episode. I was like, I had to take a moment. I was like, oh yeah, this is so hectic. And he's like, I think your big challenge is worthiness. He's like, I don't think you think you're worthy. And so when you say, I didn't feel worthy of deserving it, he had said, Shell, sometimes I think you're playing small because you don't think you're worthy. And I was like, holy shit. I was like, it hit such a nerve because I felt there was so much truth to what he was saying. And he's like, was saying play big, stop playing small. Like you have to tackle this issue of worthiness.
Wow.
And seeing yourself as worthy. And I remember so we were recording that pod in a studio with a whole bunch of people there. There was like 3 people watching while we were recording it. And Scott on my team, he's like, I could tell you were about to cry. And I was like, hold it together, because I didn't want to, overshare on that episode. But like it was just hearing you say that, I didn't feel worthy of deserving that. And then you get it. And so people out there see you as worthy, but if you don't see yourself as worthy, how does that actually impact the way you show up, the way you take risks in your career, the way you lead your business? And for me, I've had to wrestle through that. That's been a big thing this year. And, so confronting the playing big and knowing you're worthy.
Wow, that's huge, isn't it? It's funny because my experience of you is that you just seem so comfortable in your own skin, and isn't that funny?
I know, it's weird, isn't it? Anyway,
yeah, wow. Okay, we're
20.
up to 20. Okay, and I'm just because I've got 3 more, and I'm like, oh, do I just finish? I'm going to finish with like a couple of just small, practical, slightly frivolous but important ones. So I'll go with this one as 20. Okay, so something that I learned from the transformation that Inventium did from 2024 to 2025 is that like often, and maybe this is a small business thing, it's probably a small business thing, but equally applies to teams, I think, because I think teams have their own culture. It's really hard for like an organization to have a culture that's just identical across all the teams. But for me, and I've learnt this lesson a couple of times with Inventium, that culture can turn around surprisingly quickly with the right combination of people and enough trust. And I think that is counterintuitive because often we talk about it takes years to change a culture, but my experience is that it can actually happen very, very quickly.
Do you know what? I love that because I think we heard that, I don't know where this came from, but there was some thing going around of like, it takes 7 years to reinvent or culturally transform. And I love hearing you say, no. If you have the right people and you get them aligned, you can move it faster than you think.
Yeah.
I think that's a relief.
I think so as well. And, look, if someone would have reminded me of that, because I kind of knew it from another experience I'd had many years ago with Inventium, but I think I would have really liked someone to remind me of that during 2024, where I felt like the culture was not the culture that I knew and loved about Inventium, and 2025 has just been, it's done a 180 and work has just been an absolute joy consistently for the whole year. Yeah.
Someone at the end of this year is going to really benefit from hearing that because they're going to look at their 2026 and think, I've got to sort out my culture.
Yep.
And just knowing, hey, if you get the right people and you define it, you get clear on what the expectations are, it can really help to move it faster. If we're talking about frivolous ones.
Oh, that wasn't my frivolous one. No, that wasn't frivolous.
I was about to say, that's not frivolous.
No, that was
That's
deep.
not frivolous at all. But if I will, my terrible one. Oh, this is so bad. I got into journaling this year because I did the morning pages. Have you heard of the morning pages?
Yeah, of course. Julia Cameron. Yeah.
So I did that this year for 3 months, 12 weeks. I tried to do it for, and it really did help me with my monkey mind. And it's to get all your thoughts out there. And my learning from that is do not leave your journal in a conference meeting room, in a workshop that you're running. Do not. And so I was in a place that I will remain unnamed, got on the plane, got in the morning, went to get my journal out to do my morning pages. And I was like, where's my journal? Oh, and I'd left it in a public place and I contacted the person. I'm like, is my journal there? And they're like, yep. Oh. And I was like, burn it now.
Oh my God.
So that's my frivolous. And also, again, back to embarrassment. I have had many embarrassing moments this year, that being one of them.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's not cool. Wow. Okay. Okay. Now I've got 2 frivolous ones. So this is number 22. And then 24 will also be frivolous. So during the middle of the year when I was in peak book writing, which means that I'm literally at my computer every day, often for hours. And when I'm early on in a manuscript, and Inventium does a 4-day week, but the book stuff is outside of Inventium work and so forth. So I literally work every single day. I have word count targets and I'm spending a lot of time at the computer. I was getting shocking neck and shoulder pain and I just felt like I was in chronic pain. And so a friend's husband, his name's Daniel Grinberg. He's a chiropractor. He does a lot of work with workplaces and posture training. He so kindly came over to my home office and spent the whole morning with me. And I learned a lot of things from that. But I think the number one thing that I thought, I had no idea of this, but it's really helped a lot, is that when you're setting yourself up in a good posture at your desk, make sure your forearms are supported. And yeah, and I had never thought about that. I thought, I know my wrists, I think maybe need support and I need to be like at right angles and stuff, but my forearms need to be supported because then it sort of lets your shoulders and neck relax and it's so much easier to type. And that was a game changer for me. So make sure your forearms are supported when you're at your computer typing.
And as you said that, I put my forearms on the table, but I was also thinking if you're typing an 80,000 word manuscript,
yeah,
yes,
you need good posture. You need good ergonomics at the computer.
You do need good ergonomics. Do you know what? Actually, no, this was one, and it's probably more frivolous, but I think underrated people on teams are easy laughers. Do you know people who laugh easily?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was in a meeting the other day with someone and she just laughed so much. And I left with like a spring in my step. And I was like, why did I leave feeling so good after that meeting? And I was like, it's because she laughed a lot. And I don't think I wasn't being particularly funny. Like, although I can be, if you like. But like, I just thought it was a really nice, and so the way I wrote this was being an easy laugher is hot. But it did give me energy. Yeah. I left feeling energized. And so I think it's an underrated career skill. Anyway, so that's I would say that's a little 20, is that 23?
23, yeah. I like that. Okay. 24, frivolous but important. This is another posture one because I did think a lot about posture during this year, is I know you and I both spend a lot of time on planes, and my plane travel work hack is to always travel with a neck stand. So it's NEX stand, laptop stand. So it is a little plastic device. I'll share a link with us so we can put it in our show notes. And it's basically like it folds up to the size of, like, if you think about, it's like about sort of 30 centimeters long, folds up, really lightweight, like would, I don't know, weigh like 200 or 300 grams or something like that, maybe. And you just sort of pull it apart. And then what I do is I put that on my lap when I'm working on planes, where, you know, for most people, if they're on their laptop on planes, as a lot of people are when they're traveling for work, you're in this hunched over position and it's not good, and the screen's really low, so your head is looking down, which puts a strain on your neck. And so this basically puts the screen closer to eye height, and it means that your arms are kind of at right angles when you're typing. And I also I use it when I travel all the time, but particularly on planes, I cannot rate this neck stand laptop stand highly enough. Total game changer.
I've written that down because I feel like I need this. But I also, when you said neck stand, I thought you meant a stand for your neck.
For your neck. Just to prop your head up.
I was just like envisioning you that, but then I'm like, oh no, a laptop stand. Okay, good. I have written that down. My last one, 25. Wow, we got there. We did this well. Far out. I didn't know how we'd go for time. Someone said this to me this year and it stuck with me, Amantha, so much. It was really beautiful the way they framed it. In their work in elite sports, very accomplished, high performer, super amazing career. Anyway, they said this: the wins are never as good as you think and the losses are never as bad as you think. Keep going. And for someone who literally has had their whole career, like a long career in elite sports, winning and losing, and has had a lot of wins, like huge, huge wins, I did think there was something really powerful about that lens of we put so much weight on when we have those losses and fails, and we absolutely berate ourselves. Self-criticism kicks in. But I just liked the balance in it. Like, actually, the wins are never as good and the losses are never as bad. Just keep going. It's the momentum that matters. And I have just scribbled that down and reminded myself of that when I have either a win or a loss, of just going, you know what, just keep going.
Oh, I like that. I like that. It reminds me of the quote, "This too shall pass." I feel like it's a bit of a leveler. It's like, okay, this too shall pass. And if it's really bad, just remembering it will pass. But also if it's really good, it will pass as well. And so savor it. It's kind of not saying the same thing, but for some reason it just reminds me of it. And that's like a little mantra that I often have going around in my head. We have made it, Shelley.
We did it. 25 things in 2025.
I think we need to do an annual ritual here.
We should.
Kudos to you for thinking of the theme. I love it.
Well, also, I think this, we could have gone on for much longer. We could have got to 50, I reckon. But you know what? The time does not permit. So 25 things. Let us know if there's something that resonates most with you, and share this with someone. Get the pod out there.
Yes. Awesome. So great chatting with you.
So good chatting with you. 2025, baby. We did it.
Yeah.
If you have enjoyed the show today, forward it to a friend, colleague, or family member who you may think it would benefit. Shelley's business Bold Side provides leadership training for a variety of different businesses. To learn more, visit boldside.com.au. If you would like to book Shelley to speak at one of your events, please reach out to the team via moneypodcast.com.au.